My software to work, even though it was messed up. So you'll start seeing these classes come up on the internet again. And the church, go to the church's website too. You can find them there because they're tied to it, whatever. In any case, let's start. You guys should know this word because this is the focus of Colossians. Musterion. Musterion. And that's what we've been talking about. As a matter of fact, there's no reason to label them anything different yet. You know, we've gotten down to the second chapter, and you saw that, okay, I'm giving it out, but the Logos to tell us, you know, the Greek purpose in the Colossians is to focus on the Musterion. Now, the point of the Musterion, we'll talk about that a little bit in more detail, but here's some words that we'll see today in the text. First, K-A-T, what's it? O-I, looks like a signal to me. I-K-E-I. And I've got my cheat sheet too. Katoiko. Katoiko. Okay, katoiko. The reason okay, let's look at all these. Let's see. Let's look at this one. E-P-O-I-K-O-D-O-M-O-U-M-E-N-O-I. Did I do that right? Okay, that's a big Greek word, all right? Orpokodomoyo. Okay, the point I want to, that looks too long. Maybe that's got two words put together. Anyway, this is the point right here. Remember, I told you I don't teach you the declensions of the verbs, so I'm not, or the nouns, so I'm not going to get into that. But oikodomo, and this one, you know, this is one of those prefixes, because Greek words are really cool because you can put them together because they're prefixes and suffixes, etc., etc. This is oikodomo, and look what I got here. I've got kata and oiko. And the thing is that in Paul's writings, oiko and oikodomo, if you remember when we studied Ephesians, if you were in the Ephesians class and the Corinthians class, you know, this is a huge focus because the para words, and we're going to see another para word, you know, the parakleo, the para words, we're going to see another paradosis word, but Paul really had this thing for oiko words. And the reason is because of this, because oiko, and I think I'll give it to you right in here, oiko, right here, oiko means, in Greek, literally it means a home, not a house. It means a place of dwelling. It means a place of dwelling. And it means, okay, and remember I tell you, Greek is not figurative, so think this through. This is really important. Because it's not an oiko unless it has, if it's a place of dwelling, what do you have to have? Dwellers, right, inhabitants. And so, oiko in Greek, what do you think the inhabitants are? Family. This word means a family. This word is really similar to the word in English, home.
Primary residence.
Well, a home is not necessarily domicile. Okay? But it can mean, and figuratively, okay, talking about figuratively, figuratively, oiko means to cohabit. So the big deal in Greek is, okay, in the ancient world, ancient marriage, okay, sex is marriage is sex. So what did people do? Man and woman would cohabit, form an oiko. That was where they dwelt, and therefore that's where they built their family, right? So in the Greek, this is a beautiful symbolic word. Now, if I put domo into it, here's oiko, and then I put in domo. Anybody want to guess what a domo is?
Domicile.
Not really domicile, but a dome. It's a dome. It's a dome. Literally, it's a roof. It's come to us in English as a dome, but in Greek, it's a roof.
Well, I've got one quick question.
Yeah.
How many Greek words, ancient Greek words, you said there were 20,000?
About 20,000, yeah.
Okay, now let me ask this. Is that how do I phrase this? If you've got epi oiko domo, is that one of the words?
That's one of the 20. Yeah.
Okay, or is it three?
What's that?
Or is it two? I mean, you've got Greek. What I'm asking is, the 20,000 base words and then a bunch of combinations of them?
No, there's
Okay.
there's 20,000 total words. Look at it this way, okay? This is a beautiful perspective. How many words do you think are in your dictionary, in your household dictionary?
Thousands.
How many? There's about 20,000 words in your dictionary that you have at your desk. Maybe a few more, maybe a few less. Okay? How many words are there in English? 1 million. How big does it take to hold 1 million words?
How many gigabytes?
Well, if you go look at the Oxford English Dictionary for English, okay, Oxford English, yeah, okay, Oxford English Dictionary, it fits on a wall bigger than this. It's ginormous, and to read every one of those words is going to take you a long time. The largest true book in the English language. Anybody know what it is? Real novel. The largest novel in the English language.
Atlas Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It has 1 million words.
Really?
So, and that's a volume, in small text about like this thick. But if you define every one of those words, it takes, right? So the point is this. We think, when I say 20,000, you think, oh, that's not many. 20,000 in the ancient world is a lot of words. As a matter of fact, Japanese had only about 20,000 words until Commodore Perry came. So 20,000 is a lot of words. You can build a lot. You can build a lot with 20,000 words. That's the point. If I put domo means roof. So what is a oikodomo? You want to guess? A house. Yeah. It is a house where lives a family, a cohabitating, and most precisely in Greek, okay? Most precisely in the Greek culture, it means a house where you have a cohabitating couple. The Greeks define family culturally. Very interesting. It's really kind of deep stuff. So, kata, let's see, what is kata? Right offhand, that's one of those prepositions. Kata means down. Down, which doesn't give us a lot of hope for understanding because it's a prepositional phrase.
Basement?
Literally, yeah, basement, yeah. A family that's down. Literally in Greek, down in Greek, is a preposition. What it would be equivalent to in a prepositional sense. To be, maybe to be, to exist. Prepositions are really hard things. But kata oiko means to occupy or reside. And if you want to look at it culturally, what do you think it means?
Lower class.
No, to cohabit. To cohabit. Literally, to cohabit. This is really interesting. As a family. So, to occupy. So it's kind of an action kind of noun thing going on here. Epe oikodomo. Now, oikodomo we know means a house or basically a dwelling or a house where people would live, a family would live, a family specifically. If you look at epi means, let's see, I got epi, okay, with the genitive case, super, la la la. This is one of those prepositional things. It means a direction or at, on, it depends on the case, but for epi oikodomo means specifically a structure. to build upon, to build up. So epi being a direction, an honor act. So oikodomo meaning to have a physical place where a family dwells. Epi being to build it up. And we'll see this word in there.
Foundation?
Not so much foundation as to build, to actually build the structure. To build a place for a family. And you can see, okay, remember Greek is not euphemistic, or Greek is not euphemistic. But do you see the do you see the depth of the figurative points in this? Because, you know, oiko can't be separated from the concept of family in Greek. It's impossible. Oikodomo cannot be separated from the concept of a family in Greek. So if I'm building it up, what am I building?
Are you proselytizing or?
Well, I'm building a family. Yeah, yeah. And okay, and there you go. You're going to get what Paul's going to get at with this, right? You can already begin to see where Paul's going to go with this, because Paul literally uses these words all the time when he talks about the church, the ecclesia, in the New Testament. You see these all the time. Unfortunately, in English, we translate, what did I say we translate this as? We translate this as dweller or inhabitant.
Just a question popped in my head. Doesn't that confuse a lot of the Greeks in their sexual connotations related to this concept? And I know that's something he addresses in some of his writings.
Well, the Greeks would, for example, and what I think you're getting at is, you know, the Greeks have a lot of homosexual stuff going on, right? But a family in Greek cannot be homosexual. There's no, because you can't, okay,
You can adopt.
can you build a homosexual family? No, it's impossible, you know.
Type of prostitute thing and
Nope, when they say a family in the Greek sense, it means a legal wife.
A man and a woman.
Because remember, in the ancient world, you guys know in the ancient world, if you did not want to take responsibility for a woman, what did you do?
Paid her off.
You paid her off, the bride tax. You know, in the Old Testament, it talks about the bride tax or the bride pay. That's what you paid, and that's what you paid a prostitute, a whore. That is cohesive across all of ancient culture. That's the way ancient culture worked, you know. They weren't giving it away, which is a pretty wise thing. So in any case, this is one of the para words. P-A-R-A-D-O-S-I-N. Well, you know, let's face reality. You know, we look at the modern world, and we've got welfare agencies and WIC, and we've got food stamps, and we've got churches and charities, and everybody to help you. In the ancient world, what happened to a woman that had a child out of wedlock?
Ostracized.
You're toast. You die, and your child dies. So it's the dumbest thing in the world would be to not either require commitment, which is 90% of the cases, or somehow be compensated for your actions. You know, there's no contraception in the ancient world, and you know, it's a real risk thing. So in any case, paradosis, para, and dosis. I love how you can fit these words together. So you got para. Para is one of those prepositional prefixes. It means near, near, near. But what's dosa mean? Dosis, to give, to give. So near giving, near giving. This translated, this is really interesting because I left in here some words for you, and I'm running out of time for this, but in any case, this means literally in the Greek to surrender, to yield up, to entrust, to transmit a precept. And at the very end, Strong's adds in there specifically the Jewish traditionary law. I want you to see this because what do you think about that as a translation? what have they done? What did Strong's do?
Well, is it a Jewish word?
No.
Is it a Hebrew word, so why did they give it Jewish meaning instead of Greek word?
Opinion?
Bingo! Yeah, it's an opinion. It's a theological opinion. Okay? The theological opinion is what? That Paul used this word to describe Jewish traditionary law. What word does he always use when he talks about Jewish traditionary law in Greek? Anybody want to take a guess? Nomos. Nomos. Law. The law of man. When Paul talks about Jewish law, he always uses the word nomos. He doesn't use the word paradosa. Paradosa means to surrender, to yield up, to transmit a precept. It has nothing to do with Jewish law. But, and this is a caution I want to give you. The caution is, if you're reading Strong's, which is not a bad source for Greek words, a better one is Woodhouse because that's ancient Greek. But if you start if you start trying to look these words up and you see that it means Jewish traditionary law, what do you need to do? Well, if it ain't a Jewish word, you should say, time out. Think about this. What does it really mean in the Greek? Because it doesn't mean, it has nothing to do with Jewish traditionary law. As a matter of fact, here's the one, if you're not convinced, here's the one that will convince you. Philosophias. You want to guess what this word is? Philosophy. Actually, okay, it's Greek. Philosophia. Philosophia. Now, what does philosophia mean? Now,
Sophia being wisdom.
well, I want you to see this in the Strong's because I copied this right from the Strong's. Look what it says. From philosophos, from philos, meaning dear friend, friendly, neighbor, and sophos, meaning wise. So therefore fond of wise things. Okay. You've been in my classes long enough, if you've been in my classes, to know that there's no way that this word can mean that at all. There is no way. Why? What does philo mean? What is philo translated as in the New Testament almost all the time?
Love.
Love.
Philadelphia.
What love is it?
Brotherly.
Oh no, my friend.
Love between a shield.
That's our euphemism for modern. Okay? Remember, agape is a sacred word. It's the love of the gods. No human can have agape. So therefore, what is the love that humans can have? Phileo is one of them. Phileo, but remember, there's eros, sturgion, epithumia, phileo. What's the other ones? There's 10 of them total. What's that? No. That must be Latin. That's not Greek. Nope. Anyway. Okay, you got about 10 words for love and like in Greek, all right? One of them is agape, which humans can't have. But the next highest of love in Greek thought is phileo. Phileo is between, do you remember? Culturally. Shield brothers. It's a bita-culture. It's a love you have for your shield brother. What would you do for your shield brother?
Band of brothers. Give your life.
Give your life for your shield brother. Now, women, okay, ladies, in Greek thought, women are not high enough beings to have phileo. That's why in English it's come down to mean brotherly love. But it is literally the love you have for your shield brother. It's a bita-culture. By the way, you guys are Anglo-Saxons, most of you I can tell. You come from a bita-culture also. Germans are bita-culture. Okay, all these guys, and I won't go into detail, I don't have time to go into bita-culture, but anyway, bita-culture is a shield brother kind of culture. Phileo means the love that humans can have for one another, the highest love. Okay? Sophia means wisdom, knowledge, but really it's wisdom, because the Greek separated wisdom and knowledge into two different sources. Literally, this is the knowledge, the love of the knowledge that human beings can have. So in Greek thought, and I'll draw the picture even though I don't really have time. Let's see, maybe I'll do it in black because it'll be easier to see. Remember, the Greek worldview, the plenum plenum of everything, and God, plenum, God resides in the plenum of everything. And so what did God create in Greek thought? Within the plenum of everything, because the plenum of everything is eternal and infinite. The plenum of everything is infinite. And God created within it the cosmos. Cosmos. And within the cosmos is philosophia. Philosophia is that which man can know. That which man is capable of knowing. If it were agape Sophia, what would that be?
The gods can know.
Everything that the gods can know, which would be the plenum of the universe, right? But everything that man can know is limited within philosophia. And within philosophia is yay. Yay. That's the physical world.
Lyle,
Yeah.
is philosophia finite?
Yes.
Did they believe at that time that they knew everything man could know?
No. They believe they have the tools that they could discover it. And they did, because we use the same tools. But yes, it is, this looks infinite to us, but guess what it is? It's finite, right? You know this is true. Can you know everything? Can humans know everything in the universe?
Yeah, we got the internet.
If you're a secularist, you'll say yes. If you believe in God, or you believe in, the potential of other things, you would say no way. Right? The Greeks would say no way. So you are limited in some manner within the cosmos, the created universe. In any case, I'm going to keep moving. So those are the words. But the point I want you to see is, look at what the Strong's says about philosophia. It says that philosophia is Jewish sophistry. Look, this is one of the most common words used in Greek, especially in this period, to describe philosophy. Do you think every time Socrates talked about philosophia, he was talking about Jewish sophistry?
No.
Do you think anytime Paul wrote about philosophia, he was talking about Jewish sophistry?
No.
Because what would he have said? Jewish sophistry. Sophistry comes from Sophia. It's Greek, right? Paul, if anything, look, did Paul use code words?
No.
No, he never used code words. Can you use code words in Greek, really?
Probably not.
Not very well. Remember when we studied Matthew, we saw that Jesus Christ used a lot of neat code words. Why? What was he doing? He's poking his fingers in the eyes of both the Jews and the Greeks, because he said some things that had some pretty cool cultural codes in them. But you know what? Remember what happened to Paul every time he went anywhere? What happened to him?
Got in trouble.
He got kicked out of everywhere he went. Why do you think? Paul couldn't use a code word if it hit him in the head. The guy was not a code word kind of guy. Matter of fact, the early church and all the church until the modern era believed who had more complex sayings, Paul or Christ? Christ! Christ talks paradoxes like crazy.
Yeah.
Greek paradox like nutso. Why in the modern era do we think Jesus is more or less complex than Paul?
We don't translate it right.
We don't know Greek. Yeah, we don't translate it right. We don't know Greek. If you read it in the Greek, and guess what everybody did in the ancient world? Well, not ancient world, but before the modern era. Everybody learned Greek and Latin, and some Hebrew. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, Martin Luther didn't know much Greek. He knew Latin. He didn't know any Hebrew. So, or maybe, smidgen. But the point is that in the ancient, in the less than modern period, people read the documents in the Greek, and so they had a very strong understanding. They understood that Paul's very concrete. They understood that Jesus is kind of, he's really full of paradox. So it's really complex stuff. But now, let's look at, we're up to the 3rd chapter, and about the 3rd verse. So remember, we had this run up by Paul. He ran it up and he said, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to tell you what the focus is. The focus was in 26:1. 26, 27, 28, 1. If you remember, he said the Musterion that has been kept hidden, etc., etc. He goes on, talks about the mystery. And so what is he going to tell us about? He's going to tell us about the mystery. And if you look, I gave you the chart again. I said I would. Because what should we be looking for when we look at Colossians then? Well, look for all the characteristics of a Musterion. Right? Is Christianity a Musterion? No. Is Teen Hodos a Musterion? No. But Paul sure wanted to look like a Musterion for what purpose? To attract the Greeks and make the Greeks feel comfortable. Because let's face it.
He's doing a paradigm shift.
Well, the paradigm shift would come later. The point is that let me look at it this way. Let's say that I'm a charismatic preacher. You know what charismatic is, right? And let's say I started to pray in tongues. What would most of you do? You run out of the room screaming, right? Because you say, you're crazy, right? Because it's not part of your cultural idiom. See? Now, if I went to a charismatic church and did the same thing, what would they do?
Welcome you.
They'd welcome you. You see this? So as they were approaching, as Teen Hodos, the way, was approaching the Greeks, how should they approach them? In a way that they could culturally understand and would not scare them off. And so therefore Paul is advising them to do what? To approach them as Musterion. Let's see what he does. So we already looked at the first verse. I'm struggling for you and all those in Laodicea. I remember we said that wasn't a very good translation. We said, let me see. Let me just go ahead and skip ahead. We've already done this. Let's look at 3 because that'll run us into it. In whom are hidden apokryptos. Remember, I told you that if I wanted to use a word for mystery or secret, I wouldn't use mysterion. I would use this word, apokryptos. So, in 3, in whom are apokryptos hidden away all the theosaurus, the temple treasure of Sophia and Gnosis. Sophia is wisdom, Gnosis is knowledge. And by the way, what's that? I'm in 2, 3.
Oh, it said 3.
3:20.
Oh, sorry, 2, 3. And remember, that is an allusion to the apocryphal works of Sirach and Enoch, and I gave them to you last week. So let's go to 4. Okay. In English, this is terrible because it says, "I tell you this so that no one may deceive you. By fine-sounding arguments, convincing words." Now look what it says in Greek. I lego. What's lego? What's lego? I give you a logical argument. See what we lost with that? I tell you. Now, I give you a logical argument. So this, to you, this is so that no one, and it's medius, not even one. It's it's not a preposition, a personal pronoun. It's a pronoun. May deceive, and the word is paralogozemai. And I should have given you this one. Paralogozemai. This is a great word to explore. Paralogozemai. Para,
Nearly logical.
near,